All right, guys, so we talked about how to take your ABCs and plug those into your formula. So now we're going to talk about how to put this formula exactly how you see it into the calculator. So the reason we're doing this as a video is that if you ever get lost or if you need to hear me say something again, you can always pause, back it up, reread or re-listen to something, so that way you can go at your own pace. Okay, so we're going to type this in exactly how we see it on the paper. So the first thing I see is it's a big fraction, so we're going to do our alpha y equals, enter. Okay, start with your vertical fraction. Okay, and then every time we see a number that we typed in, that we plugged into the formula with one of these shapes, we're going to use parentheses. So negative b, we're going to do negative, and then we're going to type in the -2 in parentheses. Okay, the next thing we see is this plus or minus. So that's the only thing that's going to make this actually be two different answers. Okay, think about a quadratic. It usually crosses the x-axis at two places. So we're just going to do the plus sign first. We'll have to go back and do the subtraction in a minute. Okay, then we'll do our square root. Now we've got another thing being plugged in, so parentheses, b squared. Now be careful with this one. The paper kind of makes it all look the same, but this is in between two things, so this is actually a subtraction sign. So make sure you're down here underneath your multiplication using your subtraction. You're not using the negative, you're using the minus sign. Okay, and then we've got 4 times a times c, go to the bottom, all over 2 times a. Okay, and when you push enter, that is one of our answers. So down here, that's telling us that x equals, now obviously we need to round this. I'm not going to be that picky about it, so I would take 0.690, 0.68, 0.689. As long as you're close, I'm happy. So I'm going to go and do 0.690. Okay, so that's one answer. Now to get this, get the second answer, all we have to do is go back and change that subtract or that addition sign to our subtraction sign. And we've gone over this before, but if you've forgotten, do not spend your time typing in that whole thing again. All right, that would waste so much time to have to type all that again just to change that little addition sign to subtraction. So you're going to use your up arrow. You're going to highlight the problem, push enter, and it's going to copy and paste it down below, and then you can use your cursor to go change that sign. So again, if you didn't see that, you always just use your up arrow, highlight the problem, push enter, and then you can start using your cursor to get over to that, that addition sign and just change it to subtraction. So again, make sure you're not using the negative. This is changing it to subtraction. Okay, so I've changed my subtraction sign. The rest of it stays exactly the same. Push enter. So there's our second answer. X equals, again, I'll take a few different options for rounding, but I'm going to go ahead and do -0.290. I could take to -0.289, -0.28. I'm not really picky as long as you're close. Okay, so those are the answers. All right, I'm going to help you guys get started on the second one, but I'm going to let you do the actual plugging it in. Okay, so on this one, be careful. Remember, our equations always have to equal 0 before we can use our formula or before we can use our ABCs. So on this one, I'm going to start by adding our constant over to the other side. So that way those cancel out and we have equals 0. That's what we want. And then over here, none of these three pieces are like terms. This 4 doesn't have an x and it doesn't have an x squared. So this is still -3x squared. This is still -4x, and this is still +4. Okay, so if we look at our equation, our a is -3, our b is -4, our c is +4. Okay, so we got our formula. So we're going to do x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, you guys go plug those into your calculator and get your two answers.